Welcome to Being Confident from Within with Natalie Potts, the podcast that shares what it really takes to be confident. I'm passionate about helping people grow businesses with confidence. Does it seem like everyone around you is naturally confident and sure of themselves? Well, the chances are they have self-doubts just like you. I'm in conversations with inspiring individuals to share what confidence means to them and to help you find ways to believe in yourself and create confidence at any time. Andy, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. It's lovely to have you on. I keep saying a privilege, so I'm going to say it's lovely to have you on.
Thank you very much. It's absolutely lovely to be here.
Sharing loads around confidence, hopefully. So It's great to get a few more guys on, actually, because sometimes confidence isn't something that's easy to share. It's sometimes maybe that's my narrative, actually. That's something my coach would challenge me on. But it's I always find it really interesting to get into conversations with guys around this area. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. I think you're right. I think there is still a massive stigma around, as much as the good work that is going on to remove the stigma. It still exists, certainly with people from certain generations. I work in a very male-dominated environment in the RAF, so I speak to a lot of men about various subjects, and it's still admitting vulnerability is a huge challenge to men.
Well, I love the fact you've just gone straight in on that one, because that's massively coming through with these podcasts. But let's just go back a little bit, just share with everybody who Andy is and what Andy does.
So Andy Nisevic, I am for the next couple of months a leadership and management trainer for the RAF. I predominantly teach people who've just recently been promoted to sergeant the concepts, the theories of leadership, but and then applying them in a practical sense. It's a fantastic job, and I love it so much that I've decided to leave the RAF and set up on my own as a leadership trainer. I'm also a student coach with the Coaching Academy. Touch wood, I'll be finishing by October, November time, and then I'll be able to use those coaching skills to complement the training. I've got a couple of programs swirling around in the head that I think will work brilliantly.
Amazing. So you slightly touched there on vulnerability. Tell us more around what confidence means to you.
So confidence for me is something that's hugely internal. You can't teach it, but you can develop it. And I think it starts right from childhood. Those people who are major influences in our lives, our parents, our carers, our grandparents, any siblings, etc. They generate influences, they generate those beliefs, those biases that we grow up with between the ages of 2 and 7. As we go into school, then our teachers have massive influences. And if they're all positive influences that are supportive, encouraging, they celebrate you, they pick you up when things don't go well, then you can develop an internal confidence right from a very, very young age. Unfortunately, not everybody has an existence like that, so confidence might have to be developed at a later age, but it's something that's generated through success, through achievement, but that's only possible if you've got that right support network and the right education to provide that platform for success.
So it's really interesting what you share around the idea of, I guess, from childhood as well, and I build on that in terms of, like you shared, people around you and everything. What qualities do you think people hold when they are very confident?
So when, for example, when I walk into a room, into a classroom, when I'm delivering training, I know exactly what I'm capable of doing. I'm prepared. I know how I'm going to deliver it. I know that I know what I'm talking about. So I just have an energy within me. I walk in, I stand up tall, my shoulders are naturally back. I've got a posture, I've got a smile on my face, and all of that creates an energy that draws people in. And then that has the compound effect, because people are engaged and connected with you. The confidence grows from there. But the reverse is also true. If you're not necessarily confident in what you're doing, then there's going to be lots of ums and ahs and thinking as you're doing, not being sure about what to say next. And then that comes across with a very different type of energy, where people are a little less willing to engage because they're not sure that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And how do you build on something with somebody when they don't know what they're talking about?
Well, quite often it's more that they think they don't know what they're talking about because they haven't got that inner confidence.
Right.
So they're constantly checking themselves, and that's where experience comes in when you're going into something new. So, for example, doing this podcast is brand new to me, so my confidence is a little low, and I've got a bit of a shaky voice and all that sort of thing. I'm sure if I did this 10 to 100 times,
right,
then I would be far more natural with it. So although I know what I'm talking about, the fact that this is a brand new situation for me just brings that confidence down a little bit. So experience plays a massive, massive part in building your confidence, because once you've done things successfully time and time again, then it's not that you become lethargic or you become arrogant, but you just you know what works for you. You know how to apply your knowledge in the right way.
And there's a big thing, and I often say it a lot with, and you'll know yourself, like with coaching, that when we don't really know our craft as well as we want to, we get very absorbed with the hindering thoughts we have. We worry about what others think of us, what we sound like, how we come across. We allow all of those thoughts to come, and all they do is just take you away from being in the moment and offering your true value and really being authentically there and showing up as your best, because those thoughts are just compounded by those doubts, and when you take that away, you're able to genuinely come across differently. You can invest in somebody, you listen, you ask better questions. The conversation can be much, I say the term quite a lot, but a lot richer, I guess. And that's definitely something that comes through, like you share confidence, that once you've done it time and time again, you don't worry about that type of thing. That just goes out the window because you're just solely immersed in the purpose and what you're there for. But that takes time, and I think patience is a big one with that too. And like we say, this idea of building it. A few people have shared that confidence is like a muscle. Like going to the gym, you've got to build on it.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
Well, the gym's always a great analogy for everything. Train it. But it is incredibly powerful to take the idea of how do we build the muscle of confidence. Well, just saying that phrase as I positioned it there, what kind of reflections are coming through for you?
Well, you put my mind straight back to when I first started the coaching diploma.
Yeah.
First clients that I had the book of 101 questions lined up, and every time it fell down, my mind went, "Oh no, what do I do? What do I do?" But what I found by having that as a handrail, it actually made the situation worse. Because instead of just having a natural conversation, I was constantly thinking about what to ask next. And as you well know, that's not coaching. That's you're not giving your attention, your energy to your clients and responding in the way that they need you to. And so once I'd done a couple and reflected, thinking it's not going that well, I just put the book away and just went with it. And I'll admit, the first three or four times that I did it without the handrail, again, compared to how I coach nowadays, it was awful. But I learned through doing. I knew that I could do it because although I've not been a pure coach, I've used coaching skills. I've had coaching style conversations throughout my career as a trainer, as a manager, etc. So I just went with it, just kept on digging, kept on going, used the communities, used the fellow coaches that I've connected with, and just got the advice and applied all of that. And now I go into a coaching session. I don't have any preconceived questions that I'm going to ask. I just go in there and I have a conversation, and the questions just develop naturally. And that's what the confidence gives you, is that ability to just go into something and just do it.
And that's the awareness part, isn't it? And the ability to to reflect back and look what you've learned, and then use those learnings to bring you that idea of confidence.
Yes.
And you mentioned a lot around, again, like the idea of experience. What areas do you want to build confidence in life?
So for me, obviously on your 21-day challenge, you had the question that came through this morning, and it actually choked me up a little bit. It made me really reflect. From a professional point of view, I don't think...
For the question again?
So the question was, what part of your life would you like, what limiting beliefs cause low confidence?
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and initially I thought about it as from a professional perspective, because obviously I want to do well within my chosen profession, and I thought, well, actually, no, I know what I'm doing when I'm a trainer. I've been training for over 20 years. I've been a leader for over 20 years. Although I'm a fairly new coach, I like to think I've taken to it really, really well, because I really love doing it. So then I thought about my personal life, and although I've had a load of success in my professional career, in my personal life, I spend an awful lot of time by myself. And I think one of the things that I've narrowed that down to is that I just don't believe that people are interested in me. Now, I'm not going to go into the psychology behind that. There's going to have been experiences throughout my life, and I can pick up on a number of circumstantial type of evidence that would generate that belief. But then, when you're thinking about things a bit deeper, you apply a hell of a lot more thought than you do when you're in the moment. In the moment, applying logic to these limiting beliefs is very, very difficult, because it's just in the moment, just how we react. So I think because I've had that belief that nobody is interested, I don't try. And then the knock-on effect of that is people aren't interested. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And those times where I have tried, I've either tried too hard and became really awkward, or I've just chosen the most inappropriate moments with the most inappropriate people, that is just bound to lead to some sort of disappointment. Maybe because I'm subconsciously aware, so I'm kind of saying to myself, yes, I'm trying to give myself a little bit of credit, but I'm self-sabotaging at the same time, to prevent disappointment down the line. So yeah, if there was one area in my life that I wish I could have more confidence in, it's about Andy Nisevic as a person, as opposed to a professional person.
First of all, thank you for the share. It's incredible that you're so vulnerable with that, and that's where the inspiration comes through for people when they can be that. And I know that being confident is about being vulnerable too. That's definitely something that's come through with people's examples and shares of what it means to them. And that, exactly like you shared there, this real idea of having to know yourself. And for some people who've been listening to these podcasts over and over, it's going to be like, oh, it's the same things over and over. But that's the point. Maybe we're overthinking this. Maybe we make it really hard. And actually, there's that point that you've got to start from a place of knowing yourself really well. And understanding, maybe asking ourselves what the narrative is more around things, not just confidence. What's the narrative we tell ourselves? What do we know about what we need in certain moments? What do we know about how we have to manage our emotions? It's one of the things that I say that the education system is ridiculous about, and it's missing. Who cares about Python crap? And I know someone will bounce back on that when we don't know how to manage our emotions. And I've got this massive theory that, could you imagine being with somebody on this, taking a bit of a case study, which you couldn't really do probably as a kid, but taking somebody through their lifetime and looking at, if you really focused on always helping them understand their emotions in a way that we don't at the moment, where they'd be as adults in regards to things like limiting belief, the amount of people that need therapy, the place where mental health is right now. Could you imagine the difference that could make to people if we really unpacked and explored that?
You know, what you're saying there is absolute music to my ears, because within the last 18 months, I've become a real geek about psychology and about mind management, particularly.
Yeah.
I don't know a massive amount about it because people study the field for decades and don't know everything. I've only been interested for the last 18 months. But that aspect of mind management, why it is that you react in certain ways in certain situations, what's going on in the different parts of the brain that makes you react in an instant, but then 5 minutes later regret it because the more sensible, rational part of your brain has kicked in, and why the emotions come out first before the logic and all that sort of thing. If we could understand that right from primary school age and build that knowledge throughout people, exactly as you say, could you imagine the type of world we lived in today?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. So who's been your best mentor and why?
That's a good question. I don't know. There have been so many over the years, and so there's so many different types of mentors within so many different areas. So as a youngster, my grandparents were huge influences in my life. My granddad was a para during World War II, and then left and worked as an engineer. So worked very, very hard to make a comfortable, or as comfortable as possible, life for him, his wife, and I think it was 7 children. I think my other granddad, he was Serbian. He after the Second World War moved over to England, so he came across as an immigrant, didn't know the language, didn't know the country, didn't know the people, but again managed to settle down. And so they were both huge influences in my life. And I think about colleagues and bosses that I've had over the years. There's one guy I worked for maybe about 15 years ago-ish. He was a warrant officer. He was a big guy with loads and loads of energy. He's one of these people that just had that natural charisma that drew people in. And whenever he spoke, people listened and people respected him. But it wasn't just because they liked him, it's because he knew his stuff. He knew what he was talking about. He didn't wing it. He didn't make things up as he went along. He just knew his stuff. And he put a hell of a lot of work into building a career where he did know an awful lot. And get to that position where people not only liked him, but respected him for what he could do and what he brought to the party. So he was professionally, he was a massive influence on me. It's just the work that's needed to do in order to have that professional recognition and not just make it up.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
And what's interesting is you shared as well about the fact that you've had lots of different mentors, and sometimes it's a real challenge for people to think of somebody. But that's the point, and I was sharing this with my coach who was on previously today, that we were just saying about, you know, it can be people that we've never met before as well. And it's people, like you say, it's the idea of influence. And that's really powerful. So thank you so much in sharing that.
You're welcome.
Andy, where can people connect and find you?
So my company name is 1 Degree Training and Coaching. My website isn't great. The URL is coachingbyandy.co.uk, because that was my old part-time business before I decided to take the leap and do this full-time. But 1degree.uk will take you to the website. I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Pages are called 1 Degree Training and Coaching. So people see on there, I'm putting my 21-day challenge journey is all over those 2 pages at the moment. So there's lots of information with my thoughts. It would be great to hear from people, to hear their thoughts on the same questions, even if they're not part of the challenge, because I just love hearing other people's opinions, because we all just grow through that. It'd be great to connect with people, get to know people, and challenge each other's ideas, explore each other's ideas, etc.
Yeah, no, and just to build on that, in case people are aware, that the 21-day challenge is a 21 days of insights and challenges that get you taking action, all focused and centered around confidence. So things like, you know, what does confidence mean to you? What are your limiting beliefs? Things to go and try and do, like a walk out of nature. And basically with premise that you then come back with an action and you've done something, because that is coaching, is holding people accountable. And also the point that sometimes we don't have time, we don't give give time to really think and explore things in order to bring higher awareness and change. So it's been really interesting, and it's been great to see some people really taking lots of different action, and it's been beautiful to see so many different insights into what coaching, confidence and coaching means to them as well, really. So that just breaks down a little bit about more of the challenges, but it's definitely serving me. I know it's helping serve clients, it's helping serve people that I don't know, which has been amazing to connect with new people. So it's been great to do. And I think I would encourage, if you're wanting to do a bit more visibility or do something new, to get out there and try a challenge of people. So something that fits you, though, it's got to come from being, authentic and humble to you. It's really important. But look, Andy, thank you so much for your time. I really value it.
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me on.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Being Confident from Within. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it inspired you in trusting, no matter what happens in any particular situation, you'll be able to handle it and learn from the outcome. I really love hearing from you, so please leave a review and let me know which part of the episode resonated with you the most. Have an amazing day.